So here's the pretty girl trap. I appreciate this comment because it allows me the space to have the conversation that I want to have but can't have, because if I say it, it's going to make some people mad. But since you said it first, let's get into it. What's good, y'all? LoneeAppleton here. I'm a healthy family advocate. If that is your content of choice, please consider following, commenting, sharing, and reposting videos with your community so that we can grow. Alright, so here's the pretty girl trap. These boys, and this happens very early, and I came to this realization because I was having a conversation with my 10-year-old who doesn't feel that she's pretty. I asked her, why don't you feel that you're pretty? And she said, because boys don't pay me attention. Now, I know we have biases towards our children. There are children, and all of our children are beautiful. But when I look at Angel and I see her future, I see how bright that future is. I'm like, girl, if you could get your internal life together, because your external life is going to pull itself together. And then I talked to another woman who said she felt that she was unlovable because no men have loved her. So I made the connection between the two, plus my own personal experience. And I realized this is a tactic that males use towards females, or however you identify, but I'm coming from the male-female perspective. So here's what they do. And this is nothing against anyone else. I'm just speaking to females to put us up on game and the games that men play and boys play, because it starts early. I'm having a conversation with my 10-year-old. It starts early. See, what they do is they identify who the pretty girls are, and they already know the pretty girls are out of their league. So they go for the girls that are easy to get. The easy to get girls typically have low self-esteem. Not saying you. I'm saying that's what the guys do. Somebody in my comment on one of the videos said when she was in college, she heard the guys would say fives or wives. Yeah, because fives are just happy to have your attention. Meanwhile, that 10 over there is like, nah, nigga, you gotta come with the bop, bop, bop in order to get my attention. And the vast majority of men are not coming, and the boys, but I'm gonna just say men, the vast majority of men are not coming with the bop, bop, bop. Because in order to come with the bop, 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 that means they have to level up, and they don't have the skills or the knowledge to level up, because who taught them? It's not their fault, but it's their fault. But hey, I just realized my failures as a wife and a mother in February, so I didn't have awareness before then. So it's not my fault, but it is my fault, and it's their fault. So the tactic that they use is they go for the lower hanging fruit. They go for the easy scores. And meanwhile, the pretty girls are like, dang, I must be ugly, because they're going after these basic females. And so what happens is we reduce our standards where any attention will do. We take ourselves off of that high horse. And yes, I'm including myself in the pretty girls, because this is what I did. The difference with me is I thought I was ugly till I was like 15 years old. No one ever told me I was beautiful. And let's say, just because you have a beautiful outside, if you are messed up on the inside, you just as bad as the ones who's messed up on the outside. Damn, this video gonna get me in trouble. What I'm saying is your first esteem came from your physical appearance and the attention you got for your physical appearance. If you never received any attention for your physical appearance, then your esteem is kind of low. But then you get to school and you get out there, and now these boys are paying you attention, and you're like, oh, well, maybe I do. But no, they're paying you attention because you didn't get no attention before, so you're low-hanging fruit. Now, meanwhile, the attractive people on this earth, they get attention from day one. Like, oh my God, you're such a pretty baby, and hopefully that pretty baby transitions into a pretty child. And then that pretty child transitions to a pretty adult. So you've been getting the pretty privilege your entire life. So your esteem is sky high. And most people who are working on this are not working on this. That's why I thank God I thought I was ugly, because I spent all my time on self-development instead of physical development. So I am the person I am today because I didn't realize what I looked like until later in life. That's deploying the tactic that they use, because our confidence and self-worth and self-value, and whether we feel like we're loved, is tied into the opposite sex for some reason. I haven't identified how that is. I just know that it is. So when all the basic girls are getting all the attention, all the pretty girls are being ignored, that is lowering the pretty girl's inhibition, that is lowering the pretty girl's self-esteem, that is lowering her standards, and that is making the girls attainable. So now the pretty girl, even though she is a 10, her self-esteem is a 5. And now the same energy that they put into those 5s, now they go put into that 10, because she has 5 energy. And that's the ploy, that's the tactic. So all you pretty women out here who are like, well, you know, he married me and he cheated on me with someone basic, that's because you had low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem opened the gateway for a man that was way below what your standard should have been to enter. But now that we are armed with this knowledge, now we can go and move forward and be powerful and work together in sisterhood, right? If you are basic people know they're basic. Let's keep it G. And you're like, why is he talking to me? He's talking to you because he doesn't think you're worth the effort and you're an easy score. And I'm not saying this is true for everyone, so please don't get in my comments talking about that's not my situation. Well, then I'm not talking about you. But those of you who I'm talking to, you know, and now I've just granted you freedom from being played. You're welcome. Let's not allow our feelings and our hurtness to not realize what's happening and then walking into another situation where we get played. But if you're not pulling them, you're not pulling them. So let's be honest with ourselves and realize there's games that are being played here. Just like the countless depictions in movies where the jocks are the really cool guys, you know, the one that everybody wants, is challenged to go mess with the easy A, the easy girl out there, right? Where do you think that comes from? Is that fiction depicting reality or reality depicting fiction? Now for the pretty girls, they're ignoring you. Why? Because you are too much work. Because your esteem is based on your outward appearance. But even if he did get you, have you done the work for the inward to match? Just because you're pretty does not make you a 10. Something I noticed a while back, that if you are receiving attention for superficial things, you stop trying to develop yourself on any other level, because we only develop ourselves for attention of others. Let's be honest. We only do what's necessary to get the attention of others, myself included. This page, I'm doing what's necessary to get the attention of others. Oh, you guys are paying attention because you're healing? Well, let me give you some more healing content. So we all do it. We all do what garners us attention. So if you are receiving attention for superficial means, you will never do the work to be more than superficial. So that's why the basic chicks are winning, because they never received attention. They received attention for their personality. They received attention for their wit. They received attention for their intelligence. They never received attention for their looks. Don't believe me? Just go watch the movies. The guy starts dating the ugly girl and realize she's really actually a dope-ass human being, and she shouldn't have been ostracized just because she happened to have the genetics that made her look the way that she looks. She's a dope-ass human being because she wasn't able to receive attention for superficial means. So she was able to do the inner development necessary to be a dope-ass human being. And that's why when these guys actually do get these pretty girls that have now dropped their esteem to be available to them, because the boys weren't willing to do the work to rise. So they enlisted the manipulation tactics to cause the women to lower their standards. But then they get the pretty girl and they realize, well, she's just a pretty girl. So that's why you see the basic women winning, because they have developed themselves. And the guys date them because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna date her because she's easy. But then he gets in there and he's like, oh, she's actually a dope person. And then everybody's like, why are you dating that basic girl? Even the pretty girls. Because the basic girl is easy to get. And the pretty girls are hard to keep. Why? Because the pretty girls were too busy getting attention from everywhere else except for the opposite sex. Their esteem is high in all other areas because they got that pretty privilege. But in that relationship, they became low-hanging fruit. They become promiscuous because they feel they have to use what they got to get what they want. So why are you winning in all other areas off of your pretty privilege, but you are failing in your relationships? Because your vulnerability left you susceptible to low-hanging fruit. Don't understand pretty privilege? Just make the parallel to white privilege. White Americans and white people in general are not running the world because they're the most equipped to do so. They're running the world because of their white privilege. They haven't earned it. They don't deserve it. They just get it simply because their skin is white, and you just get it. Not because you earned it, not because you deserve it, just because you're pretty. So now that we know that this is a tactic that they use for our basic people out there, continue to develop yourself inside and out and know that you're not basic at all. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But if you're looking for attention, you'll get it. Because that's how it's all designed. That's the manipulation tactic. You're going to get the attention. But just like my 18-year-old said to me the other day, Mom, I wonder when I'm going to get my first boyfriend. I was like, sis, a boyfriend is not hard to find. But if you want someone who is truly on your team, it's going to take a while. It took me 36 years. I allowed myself to become low-hanging fruit so that I could attract low-hanging fruit. Both sides fail to realize is that neither side has standards. So I accepted anything. I had low self-esteem. I didn't know what I looked like inside and out. And pretty girls, know that the tactic is to manipulate you into becoming low-hanging fruit as well. Also, just because you're pretty, don't be an empty vessel. Being attractive is not enough. We both need to work together to level these men up because their target is you. The only question is, will you be an easy target? Please know, these boys masquerading as men are the real low-hanging fruit.